Hello everyone, welcome to the February 23rd League of Legends DFS Esports Slate Breakdown. Um, I can get started just by saying I actually have already just recorded this video and then I rewatched it and it felt like I was rambling way too much and saying a lot of nonsensical things. I think the video was like 45 minutes, and so I wanted to put out something a little bit more concise, a little bit more clear, and hopefully try to make a little bit more sense of everything today. There actually is like a lot about a lot of like important stuff that I want to talk about, and there were some things that I missed, but I wanted to talk about. So I figured it'd be a lot easier to kind of just re-record it all and talk about it. Quickly, I want to talk about recapping the days that I was not taking part in DFS. LGD V5 got the job done 2-1. This was a little surprising that LGD managed to take a game off of V5, just considering the skill differential there is pretty high. But I guess that's kind of just the nature of V5 at the moment. They seem to only participate in 3-game series. We look at their match history here. Like they go 3 with LGD, IG, OMG, Weibo, TES. Like every single series except for this sweep over RNG has been a 3-gamer. I'm not sure how that happens, what constitutes that. But I guess it's just a thing. So I don't know if there's a lot of stock you want to put into that. But it's kind of important, I guess, for the slate we have upcoming. And then TES got the job 2-0 over FPX. I thought FPX were going to be able to get this one over the line, but they just have seemed to kind of fallen down. I'm still not sure why they're still playing Clit over Beishuan. Like, I get Clit is a good jungler and a good player and stuff, but they just are losing with Clit, and they were winning with Beishuan. Like, it feels like it's as simple as that. So I'm just not sure what FPX is doing. They do seem to just have a complete lack of shot calling overall. I don't know. Top esports are getting the results. They're looking like kind of decent. They're looking better than before, but I still don't buy into this top esports team at all. D2 is a lot more interesting. RA swept RNG. I mean, Cube, this is just like a huge top lane difference. Cube is still looking really good. That's something that we've kind of known for a while. But RA just got caught out a lot less, and they actually looked kind of cohesive for like the first time, it feels like. And RNG just didn't. I'm not sure what else kind of to say there. It was pretty bad to watch from the RNG side. Wei is looking more and more like a weak spot. We knew he was like the worst player out of all 5 of these all 5 of these RNG players, but I still just was not expecting him to continuously look bad. Like it's just kind of tough, honestly, at the moment with him. I would expect more from RNG, definitely over the period of time. Hopefully they manage to like pull things together and I don't know, just make something happen, because they have way too many talented players on this roster to be dropping games like this, especially in this fashion. JDG, IG, it looks like IDG or IG might kind of be back. I don't know how much I buy into it. They did bring Wink back in. Wink was a IG ADC for them for a while. He looked decent, but that was obviously an entire different iteration of the team, replacing On with Wink. I mean, Zika's looking pretty good. Shun is looking pretty good. Lucas is looking decent. Wink did his job in their wins in these game 2 and 3. I'm still not entirely sold on Yuikai. I feel like he is going heavily towards the roaming mid laner archetype. He's looking a lot more like Teacher Ma, which is concerning. I feel like it's fine to have that in your repertoire, but if your only style is TF Galio and your only play, I guess, is to just leave lane and join up with your jungler support and stuff, like I think that's a good thing to have, but when it's like the only thing he can do, it's a little concerning. But I mean, I guess they found like a play style that's good for them, and it's they're looking a lot better. That's for sure. I'm not still high on them, but they're looking a lot better. I would expect JDG to get the job done here, but I mean, I had no money down in any of these games, so I'm not too concerned. Looking ahead to tomorrow, this one's a pretty interesting slate. There's no roster changes, I think, in the LPL side, so I didn't try to bring those out. But I still feel like I have like some leans here. So I think starting just going top to bottom, KT Kwangdong, I just don't want any part of this. It just feels like it's as much of a coin flip as it gets. Like both of these teams are middling LCK, or like lower middling LCK teams. They haven't proven anything. They're not on looking good or anything. It's still so entirely day to day. I think it's super hard to have a lean on this one, and it's still not looking great for DFS like goodness at all in pretty much any aspect. So that's pretty much just like where I'm leaning with this one, and I'm just gonna leave this one alone entirely. From a betting standpoint, DFS standpoint, I will probably have $0 invested in this KT Kwangdong series. T1 Damwon, I actually do have a pretty strong lean here, and it's probably maybe be a hot take, but I think the Damwon side is getting pretty disrespected overall. And I do actually like this game from a DFS standpoint as well. So we look at the kind of like LCK spring standings. We see T1 10-0, super high map count win, 80%. Then we see Damwon doing okay at 6-4. They're tied for third in the league. 64% map win rate. It's not looking as great for them. I just feel like those numbers are a little deceiving, especially on the T1 side. I just feel like T1 have kind of gotten away with it one too many times, and I think this is maybe where their luck runs out. I don't think there's any arguing that Keria and Gumayushi are like top 1, maybe top 3 players in their roles. Like maybe you could argue that they only look good because the other player is also really good, so it kind of inflates that. There is a case there, but I feel like they look like the best bottom lane, that's for sure. I feel like they look like the best AD and support. Like I just feel like that the T1 bottom lane is looking so insanely dominant. So that's obviously a good check mark for them, but I just feel like looking at it in the context of this series, both top laners aren't great, so it's kind of like a wash there. I feel like they're pretty much the same. Maybe a slight lean in the Damwon side. I think Birdall has actually been looking like not bad for them. But I think the big part comes to fruition, maybe obviously through jungle and mid. I feel like the T1 side with Warner and Faker, they've not been great, and I think that's obviously going to be a problem when you're going against Showmaker and Canyon. I don't know, like there's just something that this series tells me. I just have this feeling with this series that it's going to be close. It's probably going to go 3. I think it's actually going to be like fairly action-packed for an LCK slate, or for an LCK game. I just feel like we've seen so far. Here, I can pull this up again. The T1 series have actually been like relatively bloody. We look at these match histories, like KT got 25 off them. T1 had double 20s. Heading down to the T1 series down here, they had 20 on Nongshim. Nongshim got 28 on them. They gave up 20. So like T1 have actually been kind of in some fiestas. I guess like this, they do have some low games. That's gonna be the risk here. I mean, Hanwha got 17 on them, so it seems like when T1 lose, they're giving up a good amount. They are giving up a good amount and wins even. So, and then we know Dom1's numbers aren't going to be great, but we know that they can push a pace and they are probably going to be proactive. They should be proactive, and we just know that T1 or Dom1 can bring that. Like the action on both sides there as well. So the numbers are on the T1 side. The knowledge that we know how Dom1 play is going to be proactive as well. I just feel like they're both going to be wanting to take fights, wanting to kind of prove it there. Although Dom1's record isn't quite there, we all know that the Dom1 team is going to be still highly respected, and a game that T1 is going to want to wake up for and try to be proactive, push a little bit of a pace, and I think Dom1 will be able to answer them as well. And I just think this is a super close series. Probably goes 3. I could see it definitely going either way. I just feel like in general, T1 are extremely overrated. They've looked okay. Obviously, it's hard to argue with their 10-0 record. That's obviously still impressive. But they just have looked so sloppy, and it feels like they've kind of gotten bailed out by miracle plays by Gumayusi, Keria, and that kind of stuff one too many times. And I think Duckdom and Kellen are still good enough to hold their own. I don't think they're going to necessarily dominate the lane or anything. I just feel like if they have enough to hold their own, and then I think hopefully the thought in my head at least is that Canyon and Showmaker are the better 2v2 mid-jungle, and then they're able to move around the map, make proactive things happen, do things themselves. I could see Dom1 trying to prioritize like 4-man dives bottom, answering 4-man dives bottom against T1. I just see a lot of action around these bottom 4 players from both sides. I feel like top lane's going to be pretty ignored overall, and I just think there's going to be a lot of 4v4 skirmishing. And I feel like overall, when you look at the 4v4 of Canyon, Showmaker, Duckdom, and Kellen against Wonder, Faker, Gumayusi, Keria, it is pretty close, but I like the Dom1 side of that. Hopefully they can kind of put it all together here today. And I think I just feel like the value you get from Dom1's 2v2 of Canyon and Showmaker over Wonder and Faker is just a little bit more than you're getting with Gumayusi, Keria versus Kellen and Duckdom. I just feel like Kellen and Duckdom are still like really strong in their own right. Obviously, T1 have the better side of the bottom lane matchup, but I still feel like the difference in top and mid and jungle is more for Dom1 than the difference bottom lane for T1. So that's just kind of where I'm at. Should be super close. I think it'll be a super good series to watch either way, that's for sure. I'm excited for it. I just have this feeling that it's going to be actually like a rare LCK fiesta, a lot of kills. I think the games will go like super long. I'm not sure if they have like time overs on Bovada, at least. I know they do it on like some other books. I'm not sure. But I just see these being like 45-minute bangers where it's like 20 kills on each side or something, and it comes down to a team fight where I don't think either team is going to want to give up too much here. And, just hope for some action, hope for some kills. I think Dom1 maybe get the better of the skirmishing and win a 2-1 game here. I just think it's a lot closer than it's lined. That's for sure. So I'm excited for that. Again, this whole slate is actually super close. I did the odds calculations on this, and I believe the biggest favorite is the EDG side, and they were like 65% to win, which isn't crazy. I believe that's 65-35, so it is relatively one-sided, but definitely, you have 3 of these games, so one of them's bound to have an upset. I'm leaning the Dom1 side. Transitioning over to the OMG Ultra Prime game in the LPL. This one is confusing to me. This one borderline feels like a bait line, honestly. I feel like OMG are like a good bit better than Ultra Prime. Like if you were to apply all 3 of these games have virtually the same odds. T1 Dom1, OMG Ultra Prime, V5 EDG, they all have very similar odds. And And I just kind of don't understand it. Like, I feel like the Dom 1 T1 series is super close. I'll lean the underdog side. I feel like the V5 EDG series is super close. We'll talk about that after this series. But I just don't understand why the OMG side is so closely priced, honestly. I just feel like OMG have proven to be significantly better, and they've kind of, I don't want to say they've stomped bad teams, because I mean they've also lost to somebody. They lost to, I believe, Thunder Talk or something. Like, it's pretty bad for them. Like, they do have a bad loss on their record. But I still feel like we just saw OMG stomp WE pretty hard, and I feel like WE and Ultra Prime are relatively close. So I just don't understand this line. I feel like OMG have kind of proven themselves a little bit more, and they maybe deserve a little bit more respect. Like, I could definitely see OMG being like a minus 350 here or something. Maybe I'm wrong and I'm missing something. I'm not entirely sure, but first glance and then looking at through it a little bit, I'm just not sure where this OMG, like, why they're not getting enough respect here. I think OMG is probably like my favorite overall team to look at on the slate. I feel like this is going to be a good series overall for kills. And I just like the OMG side a lot more. I think they should probably get the 2-0 done. They're my favorite on the slate. Yeah, I mean, I like them to get the sweep and have some good scores. They're probably going to be like the my favorites. Favorites means like two things there, but in terms of like betting favorite, they're the team that I'm probably going to go to pretty heavily. I think they should get the job done. Hopefully 2-0. Maybe they'll get it 2-1, but I think they still should have some decent scores there as well, regardless. So I like OMG a good bit. I think they're the team that I'm going to pair a lot of these underdogs up with. And kind of alluding to something there, but V5 EDG. Again, I think this is actually going to be super close. Like we talked about with the V5 roster, they're somehow always going game threes. I'm not sure how that happens so consistently in that stuff, but the point is still there with Edward Gaming. They've looking at the LCK, going over to like who they've played and stuff since the break. So EDG, they've lost to the Weibo Gaming side. FPX, they beat FPX, IG, everything. So you look at these records, they're both 7-1. The map count definitely towards the Edward Gaming side. I believe Edward dropped a one map to Ultra Prime here, and then they got 2-0'd by Weibo. That's all they've lost. So definitely pretty dominant stuff from EDG. And the V5, their map count is obviously going to be much, much worse when you consider that they've gone to 3 games with every team they've played except for one. But I think they're still obviously winning. The series score obviously still the same, 7-1, super tight knit at the top of the LPL at the moment, so that's exciting. Looking forward to the playoffs. But I still think this is, again, super close. I think either side is going to be fine. When you look at pricing, at least, I think the EDG side is relatively underpriced overall. More specifically, when you look at like JJ, maybe Flandre, I feel like Viper, Mako, they're all super cheap. So I'm not sure where ownership will land. I say this every day, but I'm just not an ownership guy. I just don't know where people are going to go, honestly. Like, I try to keep my predictions and my thought process and all that stuff really isolated, just because I want to be the sole decision maker of my money, if that makes sense. Like, I don't want to have a lean towards V5 and then somebody tells me that EDG is the better side and then I switch to EDG, but then V5 get the win. Like, I don't want to think, oh man, that guy made me lose my money or anything. Like, I just want to be the reason I lose my money. So that's what I'm thinking. Yeah, I mean, super close, super close. But the slight lean for me, going towards the V5 side, the slightest of leans. Again, I think this is going probably game 3, super close. I think this is similar to the T1 Dom 1 series in that respect. But so we look at since the break, and they're on this new patch, 12-2. Edward Gaming have only played a few times Again, 0-2 to Weibo. They've both lost to Weibo. That's the only thing in common. So we know that they're both lost to Weibo. They both beat everyone else that's similar boat. V5 side is going to look a little bit worse here because, like I said, they've gone game 3 with all these teams. They're, squeaking out these series, and their only sweep is over that RNG roster. Granted, RNG just lost to RA, so we don't know how good RNG really is at the moment. That's the slight concern. But there is one thing that I noticed when I was looking over these teams a little bit earlier to get an idea of what I was leaning. And this is what I forgot in my last video, and which is mainly why I wanted to re-record this and make sure I had this in there, is when we're looking at the bans. So we look at EDG, their bans are relatively normal. They're focusing on like the Tom Kench, taking out the mid laners, typically like Corki. There's some Rise. Their bans are like kind of all over the place, and I don't think they always necessarily make sense. Like they didn't ban the Gwen against Weibo and the Shy. There was another thing here that I noticed, but the EDG bans aren't seeming that great, and I think that's definitely kind of where my tiebreaker landed. Is we look over on the V5 bans, is we could see they have a nice string of consistently banning out enemy teams and their promises, like what they want to do. So we know OMG Abel, he loves the Samira, so they're banning that out. We know IG Uwakai, he loves the Rise, they're banning that out. They took out the Gwen here as well. We look at against RNG, they took out the Jackson Camille. They really targeted the top lane champion pool of Ben. They took out the Akali from LGD. Was that? I don't know if this was when Jay was playing or not, but yeah, it was. But I don't know. I really love the fact that they're banning out the opponent's best champions like this, and they're really forcing players to make a decision, and it just feels like they actually have like a really solid game plan here. Maybe this is like a little like newbie, I guess, if that makes sense. Like bans don't matter that much. I mean, they do matter for sure. Like the champions matter. Like obviously that's why everyone picks Jinx and Aphelios and Zeri. Like everyone picks the same champions because they are super strong and pretty versatile for the most part. But I just really love seeing that from the V5 side. I really loved banning out the like super strong picks for the other ADs or like for the other team. Looking at the EDG side, I'm honestly not entirely sure what they'd end up banning. I'd imagine they'd take the TF away from Scout. Maybe they look to take away the Jinx from Viper. I'm not sure. But I think they won't allow the TF Rise, hopefully. I'd imagine they should ban the Gwen. Like if I'm EDG's coach, I'm banning TF, Rise, and Gwen. I don't want to see those at all. I'm fine if Flandre gets his Graves. I guess maybe you ideally wouldn't want Viper on the Jinx, but I mean it's probably going to happen. It's kind of just like inevitable. Since all these ADCs feel like the same, so I think that's kind of the point there, and like what I noticed and what I liked is it feels like V5 have a game plan. They're banning out specific champions. They have a plan. They have something in mind, and they want to execute it. And so far, they've done well winning series. And again, they are the underdog here. I don't know. That was just like something that stuck out a lot to me, is that it seems like they have pretty solid preparation. They have an idea of what they want to do. And again, it is super close. I feel like it's probably going 3. It just depends on what side, gets the kills and stuff. Like you maybe EDG get a stomp win, but then V5 win it close. So EDG are going to outscore them DFS wise. That's definitely still a possibility. I mean, I feel like that could go both ways, but kind of the point still stands. I think this is going to be a super close series. I'm just leaning towards the V5 ever so slightly. I feel like they've just kind of looked a little bit more cleaner, and I just definitely love the fact that they're kind of consistently having those game plans set in mind, it looks like, and hopefully they can have something good prepared for this EDG roster. I just didn't like how the EDG bans were kind of all over the place. It seemed like they didn't have that much of an idea of kind of what they wanted to do, and it didn't seem like they were targeting anything. So hopefully V5 do have the edge in the drafts, and I feel like if the games are close but V5 have a slight edge in the drafts, that could kind of tilt the pendulum in their favor ever so slightly. So again, super close. Don't mind if you guys have a lean either side. I think that could be said for all the series today. But that's just kind of what I'm leaning, what I'm looking at, and what I liked was the I feel like Don Juan's getting a little disrespected. I like them a good bit. I like OMG a lot. I feel like they're getting heavily disrespected. The EDG V5 line does make sense, but I like the underdog shot on on V5 here as well. And as far as lineup construction goes, I'm honestly not sure what I'm planning. Typically, I'm a one lineup guy. I don't like to mix and match too much, but I feel like the all three of these close games that I talked about, T1 Dom 1, and then the 2 LPL games, I feel like these are all three relatively close when we look at like expected kills. I know the kill stats are not going to be great for T1 Dom 1. They both are slow paced, regularly. I just have a feeling there with that side. That's kind of the only reason, is I just have kind of a gut feeling that they're not going to want to give up anything, and that's going to be a solid top of the table battle in the LCK. So that's kind of the lean there. I like all three of these games. I feel like they're relatively close in terms of scoring. I like maybe OMG Ultra Prime a little bit more than the other two, but I feel like the other two are still pretty close. Maybe slight edge towards the LPL games just in case, but I feel like that all three of these games are live. I feel like Dom 1, OMG, V5 are all pretty solid in my mind. So that's where I'm going to be leaning. I might do what I do in Call of Duty, and I might just do 3 lineups and just mix and match these 3. So I'll have like a Dom 1 and I'll have Dom 1 and OMG, Dom 1 and V5, OMG and V5, that kind of thing. So just mixing and matching these lineups, and hopefully getting the right combo there. So that's what I'm leaning. That's what I like. I'll be interested to kind of see how the night shapes out. I think these are actually going to be a lot of exciting games, except for this KT Kwangdong game. No reason to watch that really, but maybe you degenerates will have some money on it. But I'm looking forward to tonight. I think it's going to be a pretty interesting night. It's going to be super telling. I think especially in the LCK, we're going to see if T1 is legit. Maybe I'm wrong and T1 get the 2-0 and they're looking pretty dominant. Definitely a possibility. I think OMG cement themselves as a pretty decent team here tonight. And then OMG or EDG V5, I expect that to be a close, really exciting game. And we can see who can edge it out at the top of the table in the LPL, because the winner of tonight will be the number 1 team in the LPL for the time being. So that's going to be it for me tonight. No CSGO, no Call of Duty, I believe, for a couple of weeks, actually, as the regular season, the first regular season part is over. So, just League of Legends at the moment. A lot of focus on that we can put in. So, best of luck to everyone. See you guys tomorrow. I don't have a tab open for it. Whatever. We'll talk about tomorrow when we get there. So that'll be me. That'll be it for me tonight. And again, best luck to you guys, and see you tomorrow.